All right, let's see here. Let me get over to the group. And where's the live? Where is it? What's up, y'all? Thanks for joining in. We are live in the Giant XL American Bully Breed group and also on YouTube at Thrower Bullies. Definitely check us out and subscribe there. You can also check us out at Thrower Bullies on Instagram. Let me get this going real quick, and then we will get into today's topics. For some reason, we had quite a few topics today that people posted in the group to discuss for tonight's live. So we're going to hit all of them and try to do it in the shortest amount of time as possible without a rush. But I cannot find the live in the group for some reason. So give me just a second to find the live in the group as you guys all join in so I can pin it to the top of the group. And for some reason, it is just not showing up. These Facebook algorithms are, there we go, bam. And let me turn off my office phone and mark as announcement. Now pin it to the top of the group. Give me just a second. Let me shut down all these other things I got going on so they don't slow up the system. But join in. Join in. I'll be with you in just a second. All right, so that's live, and then we got the actual group live. So we are live going through StreamYard. There should be a link at the top if you happen to want to join in on the live. That will allow you to leave a comment. If you want to join in on the live, let me know in the comments. I'm trying to set it up so I can keep track of all comments because I know they sometimes. You know what, Dion? The live. What's up, Dion? Thanks for joining in. The live is in the group. Betsy Spirit Rider, thanks for joining in. Let's see here. What else was I looking for? And let's see here. Give me just a second, and I'll be right back with you guys. All right, there we go. So let's go ahead and get this started. So the topics of the day that came up was what's vision, breed type, and written standard? How do you know when you're kennel blind, and how do you prevent it? One of the reasons I brought that up, hold on just a second. Let me see here. Season, come on, Floyd, go outside. Good boy. One of the reasons I brought that up was I see people talk about kennel blindness, not recognizing the different forms of kennel blindness. Also, the ever topic of breed type versus the written standard. Second thing that came up was breed type by Connor Hitchcock. He said breed type should not be used as a term anymore. Breed type is the written standard. Thoughts on that? So we're going to kind of bridge those two into one. Next topic was by Derek Williams. What tips and tricks can be used for pup training to get ready for events? I'm assuming when he talks about events, he's talking about the show ring. Then next we have, what is your personal all-time favorite XL male? And then we also have, where did the red nose and OFRN, Old Family Red Nose, come from? Is Chevy, Camelot, etc. considered OFRN? Because I see a lot of people calling those lines Old Family Red Nose. Another one came up. Let's see here. Connor Hitchcock said, what is your personal all-time favorite XL male? Ooh, that's a difficult one, but we'll get into that. And then Sam Quigley said remedies you use for allergies. And then Sam Quigley also posted, can you discuss with which companies are recommended for health testing? So let's start, and then we'll go backwards. As far as companies recommended for health testing, I would say Embark seems to be the premier company right now. Not only in the bully world, but in the dog world, period. Embark has come a long ways. I will say it's all new. And what I am noticing with these health testing companies is that with them being new, all of a sudden we are starting to hear more people who have said they did Embark testing, their dogs came back free and clear of various things. And all of a sudden their dogs are turning up to have issues regarding their health. So I think some things people have to remember is this is all new. It is somewhat still experimental. I'm going to try to keep track of the various comments that are coming from different places. So bear with me on that. But if you are new, Gary Moore, what's up, bruh? Thanks for joining in. That is Gary Moore from Grayline. You know what I mean? Can't say more than that with Juan Gotti. So shout out to him and much respect to him. Also, check Gary out. He's got various things for your dogs with allergy issues and things like that. So definitely check him out when you get a chance. Anything dealing with the immune system, allergy issues, Gary is on deck with that. So definitely check him out with that. And we got Molly said commercial break already. Yeah, my bad. So, but when it comes to health testing, always remember right now, Embark is the best, but at the same time, remember that this is fairly new to the dog world. There are things that are reliable, things that aren't. One of the things that have been popping up lately is people doing Embark tests and they know what's in their dog. I know of an exotic breeder who has English Bulldog in his dog up front, and for whatever reasons, it didn't show on his Embark test. I also know of people now that this has been going on for several years, they're doing Embark testing. Embark testing is telling them that they're free and clear of these issues. And I think they do like 200 different issues. But all of a sudden, their dogs are turning out with those issues. So when it comes to health testing, remember it is experimental. It's brand new. Embark seems to be making the biggest progressions in it, at least in popularity. But also remember, push your dogs. If you want to know about health issues, push your dogs. Hold off on breeding until they're 2, 3, 4 years old. Push them. See what types of things are showing up. And that's going to always keep you ahead of the game or at least even with the game. But that's as much as I can really say about health testing. Two people that I would say are great to hit up. I hope they don't get mad at me putting their names out there. Daniel Nunez knows a lot about genetics, all the ways down to double E and all that other stuff that they do with health genetics. Heather is also another person that knows a lot about health genetics. Those are two people that you can hit up, or if you post in the group, Giant XL American Bully Breed group, they're almost guaranteed to kind of put you on the right path. So shout out to those two. The next question was remedies you use for allergies. The first remedy for allergies is if you know your dog has allergy issues, breed 2 dogs that don't. That is how you fix allergy issues. Unfortunately, with a lot of breedings and breeders nowadays, they don't care. They're just using different, grain-free and all these different things to mask it, and then they're not concerned with what they breed to. So the first thing when we got involved in breeding and we noticed allergies was an issue amongst the breed, we fed our dogs whatever we wanted to feed them, cheap foods, Walmart brand, just to see what issues popped up, what issues didn't. Most of you know when it came to Cardi Bull, I put her on pedigree for 6 months straight. I didn't add anything to it. I just left her on pure pedigree just to see what showed up. Nothing showed up, so therefore we knew it was cool to breed her 2 dogs that didn't have allergy issues, and it was cool to breed her 2 dogs that might have some allergy issues to get us on the right path when they came to allergies. So the first thing to do when it comes to curing allergies is breed 2 dogs that don't have allergy issues. Right now, people are breeding so bad that you got dogs with grass allergies, chicken allergies, and all these various things. No dog should have chicken allergies. Anything that a dog would eat in the wild, it shouldn't have allergies to. Anything that a dog is on in the wild, it shouldn't have allergies to. So grass, chicken, when you start getting down to peas and, different things like that the dog may have allergies to in their food, grain, things like that, that's somewhat understandable, but it still comes from breeders breeding carelessly to dogs that have allergy issues to more dogs that have allergy issues. Now, as far as what I do for allergies, I think 2 of the most important things when it comes to allergies, one is fasting on a regular basis, weekly. I fast my dogs every Sunday. They do not eat whatsoever. That gives them time. Allergies is about the immune system. The immune system has different little things that it doesn't like, but then overall it should be able to function effectively. So when you have allergy issues, fur missing, things like that, fur missing is the first sign you're going to get. Rashes, bumps, those are going to be the first signs that you get. So if your dog has allergy issues, or if your dog doesn't, but you just want to, it all comes from the immune system, what you want to do, and genetics. Genetics has to do with the breeding. As far as the immune system, that also has to do with the breeding. What you want to make sure that you are doing, one thing that I think a lot of people sleep on is fasting. Fasting is extremely important for dogs. It is what they are based off of. The average predator is only effective 1 out of every 10 attempts. If they live in a pack, then you're looking at 1 out of every 6 attempts. So that means the rest of the time, what the dog is doing is it is fasting until it's able to actually catch and take down its next meal. So that's one thing. Fasting is great for dogs because it allows them the opportunity to clean out their system. So allow your dogs to fast once a week. You'll notice some dogs, if they're bred correctly and in tune with the species, the overall species of dog, some dogs just won't eat. They'll pick a day for some reason they just won't eat. Allow them that. You don't have to give them treats. That's perfectly fine. My bull lurcher used to do that every couple months where she just wouldn't eat that for that day. Put her bowl down there. She totally ignored it, and she was perfectly fine. But in this stance, our dogs are conditioned to eat on a daily basis. You want to take a day where you don't fast them. Your regimen for that day should be the same as far as exercise. That's another thing. What went along in nature with is not only are they fasting on, not due to their will, but just because they didn't catch anything, they're also still, using energy. What that is doing to them is not only do they not catch that meal, but they had to exude a lot of effort to catch that meal. So they are pulling from the nutrients that are left inside their system, which is helping them clear their system. So when it comes to food allergies or just allergies in general, when you notice it, fast your dog immediately. Then you want to put your dog on a regular regimen of fasting at least once a week. But you also want to make sure you're exercising that dog so that they are pulling as much nutrients out of their system as they possibly can. As far as feeding for allergies, if you notice an issue, colostrum is one of the best boosts that you can use. Colostrum is used for puppies. It's one of the first, before the female gives out milk, she's giving out colostrum for about 24 to 48 hours, and then all of a sudden it turns to milk and starts to get blended with the milk and then becomes milk. So colostrum is one of the best. You can purchase colostrum in pills. You can also purchase it in powders. If you notice allergy issues fast, your dog, then when as soon as you get ready to feed them, add colostrum to their food. That will give them an immune boost. As far as a regular basis, one of the best things that I feel you can use is sardines. A lot of people talk about salmon. Salmon to me is just something people that feels good to say. The best thing that you can give your dog is sardines. They are a huge immune booster. Strawberries, blueberries are great immune boosters. Yogurt, plain yogurt is a great immune booster. It also has a lot of probiotics that a dog needs or that people need, anything living needs to work out the stomach issues and also pull nutrients. Sauerkraut is another extremely good. Sauerkraut is actually better than yogurt. Problem with sauerkraut is some dogs won't have anything to do with it. But sauerkraut is also good. And the reason you're using those is so they can pull as much as possible from the nutrients. And there's two ways to get rid of what's in their stomach. One is by shitting it out. The other is by using it. What I would say is if you feed your dogs kibble, kibble is extremely over processed. I use kibble, but it's extremely over processed. So what you want to do to make it more digestive and so that the body can pull as much from it, add just a slight sprinkle of pepper. That gets the enzymes in the stomach going and enables the dog to pull as much nutrients as possible. Also, because it is kibble, go ahead and just pour just a little, put your kibble in the bowl, get some hot water on it, just a little bit of hot water, mix that around. That moisture enables the kibble to be a little more digestible for the dog. And then at that point, you can add whatever it is you do with your kibble. But you want the dog to be able to pull as much from its food as possible so that it is able to get rid of as much of that food in its stomach as possible. And again, there's only two forms of doing that. And that's one, pulling the nutrients, two, shitting it out. The next thing, make sure you're exercising your dog on a regular basis. You should have at least, I would say, 2 to 3 days a week where you exercise your dog to the point where it drools. The drool is used to cool off the system, but the drool is also pulling from the nutrients in the dog. So you want to get those things going so that your dog is clearing as much out of its system as possible. So that's what I would say. One, change the diet. Definitely add sardines to the diet. When I had my Jack Russell, rest in peace, I had to put her down about 3-4 weeks ago. But she got one sardine. I have a catch dog. Floyd is about 60, 65 pounds. He gets 2. Cardi Bull is about 100 pounds. She fluctuates from about 98 to 102. So we'll say 100 pounds. She gets 3 sardines. I do things like that once. I do them every other day. So 3 times a week, which is every other day. The reason I do every other day, some people will say give your dog sardines once a day. I would prefer to give my dog 2 to 3 sardines every other day. That way, when I notice there's an issue, I can give it to them on it's in their system. And then 2, if I notice there's an issue, I can give it to them on a daily basis. And it has impact in actually getting rid of that issue. Turmeric is another thing for allergies. Turmeric avoids flare-ups. And so when you get that redness and those bumps, turmeric assists with that. So those are the things I do for allergies. But again, we have this breed, for whatever reasons, a lot of issues and flaws were bred into it. And we're going to get into issues and flaws probably next week. Issues are a species thing. Stiff stifles, underbites. Those are all issues. Flaws are a breed thing, so the difference is, for instance, the English bulldog is supposed to have an underbite. That is, and a short muzzle. Short muzzles is an issue thing. The English bulldog as a breed has those as that's what it's supposed to have. There are still issues within the species because that means in order for this dog to have what it is you want or what it is you like, it is not able to breathe as well. So there are issues within the species. sometimes they're acceptable within breeds, but there's still an issue even within that breed. And then you have flaws within the breed, and those flaws have to do specifically with that breed. So that's something to definitely be aware of, and also to balance your breedings as you're breeding whatever breeds you happen to be breeding. I know we got people in here from the grid every now and then, so that's to them. Next question was, what is your personal all-time favorite XL male? I saw that question probably about 20 minutes ago, and I can't say what is my personal all-time. What I will say is the XLs that I do like, that I just have a lot of love for. One is Hitman with Erica Ross. I want to say, forgive me, Erica, if I'm getting it wrong, I want to say it's RBR Kennels. Hitman is just a dope dog, extremely athletic, a working dog. He does catch work with hogs. He's just a beautiful dog, trimmed up, athletic. I love him. He's great. Another one I like is I would say is Brett Porras, Hippie Chick. Hippie Chick is one of my favorite XLs. She's another one, extremely driven, athletic, takes some of the best pictures you can come across when it comes to just being action photos. She got bit by a rattlesnake several months ago. She healed well from that. She's just an extremely tough dog. If Erica and ever breeds Hitman to Brett Porras' Hippie Chick, that may not be what the bully world, wants as a dog, but let me know. I want one, because those two dogs are phenomenal to me. I love the drive in them. I love the attitude in them, and what they're capable of doing. Another one that is one of my favorites is Grand Champion Dooley, Fred Duran's dog. Hippie Chick is with Brett Porras and We're City Bullies. Dooley, when I read the standard and I look at Facebook and everybody's opinions on dogs and all these, on the bully and all these things, Dooley just, in my opinion, and I'm not a show breeder, but Dooley fits that perfectly. He's an XL Grand Champion. Fred also had, rest in peace to Saki Bomb, who passed recently. I know that was hard for Fred and his family. But you got a dude right here who has 2 XL Grand Champions from his yard. And Dooley is just, there is no perfect dog, but Dooley comes across as perfection, in my opinion. Another dog that I like, and another thing I like about Dooley is Fred and I was talking one day about a dude. I've said this before. Apparently a dude tried to break into his home. Fred jumped out the house in his boxers, chasing after the dude, and Dooley was right behind him. You got to love that. That's what these dogs are supposed to be. And yet at the same time, Dooley went that weekend and was winning shows. So you know what I'm saying? You can't knock that. So I love that. I love Dooley's color and his look. Another one of my favorites, a lot of people know, Heather owns Grand Champion Prince Charmer. He is just, that dog is built like a statue. You know what I mean? Prince Charmer is just a beautiful dog. He's with Heather from Oily Drop Bullies. He's got that. I know a lot of people knock him because they say he's not bully enough, but he's bully. You look at him, he's not an American Staffordshire Terrier. He's not a pit bull. He is an American bully. He did great things with UKC. He's champed out at ABKC, if I'm not mistaken. But he is if I'm not mistaken, he is a UKC Grand Champion. But he's just a beautiful dog, and a lot of things, to me, in my opinion, that can be done with Prince Charmer. Another one of my newest favorites is Vibes Cartel. I'm gonna try to catch you guys' comments. Casper, what's up, man? Thanks for joining in. Vibes Cartel he's just a dope dog, kind of like Dooley. When I look at the standard and everything, and I look at Vibes, he just fits what they are talking about. And so a lot of props to Vibes Cartel. His owner is Ray Burkitt. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. With Almighty Bullies. Vibes Cartel is a beautiful dog. Let's see. Castro said Dave Wilson claims he only used game pit bulls and Amstaffs to create Razor's Edge. I'm not sure that's true. What's your take? You got to remember there are game dogs, which are truly game, and then there are people who say I breed game dogs, and 9 times out of 10 that means they breed dogs from game lines, but the dogs are not necessarily game. From what I understand, Dave was into the UKC show, and so therefore you do have game dogs. Okay. You do have game dogs as far as breeding in UKC, but they have a game lineage, not that they are actually game dogs. And he was also breeding them to Amstaffs, which I guess were AKC registered. That can be a little confusing. The Amstaff and the Pit Bull are two different dogs. It's been 80 years since that separation has taken place. With the AKC doesn't register all pit bulls. The Red Nose is one of them. So that lets you know they want something different. The AKC wants a show dog. The Amstaff came from the pit bull, but is not a game dog. There have been game Amstaffs in the past. You're going to be hard to find those now. But those were dogs that were pit bulls and just happened to be registered as Amstaffs with AKC and as pit bulls with UKC. If you look at them now, 80 years later, the UKC pit bull and the AKC Amstaff are pretty much the same dog. When you get into the ADBA, that's when you start seeing the actual true American Pit Bull Terrier. And you figure the change started because they wanted a show dog for the AKC, and AKC didn't want the word pit being involved in it. So if I'm not mistaken, the ADBA will register UKC pit bulls as pit bulls, but they will not register them if they are also registered as not only UKC pit bull, but also AKC Amstaff, and the ADBA won't register it. From my understanding, that may have changed. But that's how that works. Cuban Cage Watchtower, what's up, man? Thanks for joining in. But so you got to remember they are separate breeds. But from my understanding, he was breeding dogs, as far as what he's put out there, he was breeding dogs that had game lines but weren't necessarily game dogs. So for instance, Gaff, if I'm not mistaken, went into Razor's Edge. Gaff was not a game dog. For some reason, that's been confused with that, but Gaff dogs were not game, considered to be game dogs. They might have come from the lineage of game dogs, but as far as their performance, they weren't actually game dogs. What else did we discuss? What else was there on here? So those are my favorite XLs. Another one, you know what? I'm gonna have to say it, King of Diamonds. His productions have come out extremely consistent. I know he is my dog, me and my cousin's dog, Aaron. Shout out to my cousin, my kennel partner. But though King of Diamonds is too big for the the whole show ring thing, he would be a monster showing up into a show ring. He's a huge dog. But even with his height, he is still wide. He is still boned up. He still maintains that huge head. He's got that, 28 and a half, 29-inch head. He's still got a short back for his size. He's got a level back. You're not going to find too many dogs king size with the short muzzle and not a high rear. King is just a well-built dog, and for his size, he's athletic. I love his temperament. He was in Arkansas guarding our property plus our neighbor's property. He understood not to go after cows. He understood not to go after goats, but he would go after any bear, wolves, mountain lions. I don't know what they call them in Arkansas. In California, we call them mountain lions. Coyotes. He would run them off the property. He would run them to the tree line, come back. King is just, I love that dog. And I will say there was some skill involved in picking King off my cousin because he bred King Corso, so he was more used to the the larger size dogs. But I will have to say, he may not admit it. I love my cousin. He might not admit it, but we also got lucky, but between luck and his ability to see when it came to large size dogs, King is just a magnificent specimen. So those I would say would be my favorite XLs in the game, not only because of who they are, but also what they've been able to produce from them if taken to the right females. Let's see here. Next question. Where did the red nose and OFRN come from? And is Chevy and Camelot, etc., OFRN? There are a lot of dogs in this American Bully that have Camelot, Chevy in their background. They were primarily known as weight pull dogs. Some people look at them as Old Family Red Nose. They are not Old Family Red Nose. They may not even have lineage to Old Family Red Nose. One thing we have to remember when it comes to the red nosed dog, that red comes from the terrier that was used to create it. A lot of people like to say the pit bull, which came from the Staffordshire Bull Terrier. The Staffordshire Bull Terrier came from a cross of the old bulldog, which is now extinct, and the old white terrier, which is now extinct. That split into two dogs, which was the Bull Terrier we see today with the egghead that didn't have it back then, and the Staffordshire Bull Terrier. The truth is, it wasn't just old white terrier. Any terrier that was proven to be vicious, proven to be tenacious, proven to be game was used. There were red terriers. If you look at the Patterdale Terrier today, you see a black and you see a red. There were red terriers back then. Many of those red terriers were used in Ireland to create what we call now today the Old Family Red Nose. One of the reasons that those dogs were so popular in Ireland is they guarantee when they came up with that concoction, there was a couple things that the Old Family Red Nose can do that no other breeds on the planet can do. One of those things when it comes to pit bulls is that you can breed for that color and you can breed for winning game fights at the same time. There's no other pit bull that you can do that with. Which is why the Old Family Red Nose is not, and the red nosed dog is not allowed with the AKC as a American Staffordshire Terrier, because then it would enable people to breed for gameness and for the show ring. They wanted to eliminate that. And the only way to eliminate that was to eliminate the Old Family Red Nose or the red nosed dogs. Now, in Ireland, you had, I don't know what you would call it, villages, clans, cities, I don't know what you would call it, but what they guaranteed coming from the Old Family Red Nose, which came from different groups, was that you had gameness. It was automatic. It was consistent, unlike with any other pit bull lines. And with that gameness, you have variations from group to group within Ireland. Some of them were small in game, some were large in game, some were medium size in game. Some were dancers in game. Some were biters, hard biters in game. When I say dancers, you're looking at an agile dog who uses that as its strategy for angles and everything. Some were hard biters in game. Some were both in game. So that collective of dogs is what was considered the somewhere 80 pounds, not 80 pounds, somewhere about 60, 65 pounds, somewhere 30, 25 pounds. But that whole collective is considered Old Family Red Nose. Those dogs ended up coming to America. When they got to America, they were bred in with other pit bulls, and then they were also kept distinct. But we also have to remember there were dogs that were red dogs, but not Old Family Red Nosed dogs. Those red dogs come from, again, those red terriers. They also, when you got to America, you started getting hounds that couldn't function in hunting packs because they were overly aggressive. Those hounds weren't used. In America, because of trade, the dogs were matched against various dogs. Sometimes a game dog would lose to a taller or more rangy dog. So those game dogs would be bred to a hound and then bred back to the game dogs to give it a little more range, a little more height, a little more leanness, a little more stamina if the dog started becoming too bully. So there's that red color and the red nose. You've got the red bone coonhound. You got all types of dogs that are red. And then you got all types of terriers that have a red nose, various hunting dogs that have a red nose. So you figure if I needed a little more height and my neighbor's got a dog that I know is extremely dog aggressive, I can breed him to that dog and then bring him back into my fold to get a different structure for what I need to win matches. And that is how you got red-nosed dogs and how you got old family red-nosed dogs. They are two different things. Old family red-nose is a pure line of those red-nosed dogs. What tips and tricks can be used for pup training to get ready for events? I'm assuming when you talk about events, you are talking about the show ring. I don't show dogs. What I do know as far as the show ring, one thing I know, my uncle used to show dogs. One thing I do know from talking to show breeders is avoid training dogs to sit. Is a trick I know several of them use. Train them to stay. So if you need a dog, a lot of times as a habit, when we need a dog to be still, we teach them to sit. If you're showing, if you're doing protection work, the better thing is to, rather than teach them to sit, teach them to stay. That way they are standing and they are ready to go at any moment, but they're still being still and staying in the place you want them. If you can teach a dog to stay, one of the advantages of that, if you're in the show ring, then you can start stacking that dog and training that dog to stack without worrying about them moving. They'll get the whole concept, stand here. The other thing I know different show breeders, and again, when it comes to show breeding, you got to decide, what it is you're looking for, whether it's UKC, which is the biggest registry, or whether it's ABKC, which pretty much runs the bully breed. What I would say is on Mondays, and we have Fred Duran. Like I said, he has 2XL Grand Champions that he's worked with. We also have Danny on Wednesdays. He has champion He-Man from Second to None Bullies. Those are the perfect people to hit up in this group. When they go live, they will be able to answer your questions and give you more tips on, preparing yourself for the show ring. Let's see. The other thing that you want to do is have a dog that's in shape, because you might be there. From what I understand, the show ring is like when my daughter used to dance. We would watch her for 15 minutes. She might do 2-3 performances, but we were there for like 8 hours, and the performances were like 3 to 5 minutes long. So definitely make sure your dog is in shape, because a lot of times the judge you may be dealing with wants a thicker dog. If your dog's in shape and you pack weight on him for the show, he's able to deal with that whole day. But definitely make sure your dog is in shape if you're gonna go that route. Next thing was breed type should not be used as a term anymore. Breed type is the standard. Thoughts on that, and which we're going to blend with what's vision, breed, what's breed type, and what is the written standard. How do you know when you're kennel blind, and how do you prevent it? I think when it comes to kennel blind, we'll get into, a lot of people accuse people of being kennel blind, but what a lot of people who talk about kennel blindness don't realize is that there are several forms of kennel blindness. But let's get back to the beginning. What is vision? Vision is your ability to see what's in front of you and your ability to see what is down the road. So when it comes to breeding, hold on, let me check for some questions real quick. Castro says some combining Amstaff to a UKC type pit bull will create an American bully, because I know other lines have bulldog breeds included. You can't take a Amstaff to a pit bull and create a new breed. A Amstaff is a watered down pit bull. So if you take an Amstaff to a pit bull, you just end up with a Amstaff. You can't take those two dogs, breed them together, and come up with a new breed. Now you can take other two breeds to another breed and create a new breed, but you can't take an Amstaff to a pit bull and then create an American bully. You're just gonna have a watered down Amstaff. You have to bring a third dog in there. And when we know with the bullies, it was Mastiffs, English Bulldogs, American Bulldogs, and various other breeds. But I don't know who or why people came up with that, but the pit bull and the Amstaff are they're too closely related. Though they are two separate dogs, they're still too closely related to bring them together and then claim you have a new breed. An Amstaff to a pit bull gives you a Amstaff. Always, it's never going to produce anything different because Amstaff is a watered down pit bull. So that's just something that can't take place. Let me see if I'm missing any others. Andrea said, okay, Andrea is a show breeder. So she said, acclimate your dogs to be comfortable outside if you will take it to an outdoor event. That's another thing. And that's the thing. You got to look at, if your dog is competing, it doesn't matter if it's for performance as far as work or if it's for the show ring. You got to try to figure out how to recreate that, whether it's going to the pet, what do they call them, dog parks, to PetSmart. You want to expose your dog to as much as possible so that your dog functions the way you want it to function in that environment. Let's see, Andrew said they were called Old Family Red Nose when they were still being imported. Exactly. And that is why when they got here, you still had the Old Family Red Nose line, but a lot of them did go into other dogs, whether they were brindles, whatever they may be. OFRN were technically not all chocolate based. There were many lines that were black based reds. As far as the OF, I have right now a 3/4 Old Family Red Nose Norrod line of the Red Nose, 1/4 boxer. 4 pups in that litter came out all black. We think what happened was the boxer opened that up. And the way he was bred is his mom was 3/4 Old Family Red Nose. She accidentally bred to the guy's sister's boxer. It's a long story, though. It was an old man. He passed. Rest in peace to him. But anyway, she accidentally bred to his sister's boxer. They took a son from that, and then he took a son from that, and then bred it back to his female Old Family Red Nose. He was a game dog man, using his dogs and selling his dogs to create performance game dogs. I got Floyd due to the fact that, one, his line kind of stemmed off the line that I had going in the early 90s. And when I found out a boxer got in the mix, he thought I was going to be upset, but I was cool with that because I needed Floyd as a catch dog to back up my Bull Lurcher, my Jack Russell, and my Razor's Edge female that I was using at the time for hunting. That is how he was. But for some reason, the boxer was not black. So for some reason, they did come out all black. So you figure there's only 2 colors when it comes to dogs, black and red, and then everything else is a dilution from that. So that's a good point that to be looked at. But as far as where were we? I'm just trying to catch all the questions so I don't miss them. Let me see what else we got here. And for some reason, oh, there we go. Then we got, okay, so it looks like I've hit up most of the questions, I think. 3 main breeds I found at the APBT were the Black and Tan Terrier, White Terrier, and the Bulldog. Actually, that's not true. The American Pit Bull Terrier, Google-wise, yeah, you had the Bulldog, the Terrier, and the Black and Tan. The only reason they even admit the Black and Tan is because they're forced to because of the Black and Tan. Before Google, all the books said just and actually it was the White Terrier went into them. You just have various terriers. It didn't matter what the color was. You know, even in your blue dogs today, the Irish had I forget, I want to say it's the Irish Blue Terrier that we know was also used to create pit bulls back in the day. And I think that dog is extinct now. But the truth is, there were various terriers used. What's up, Dre? Thanks for joining in, brother. There were various terriers that were used. There were various forms of the Bulldog that were used. The Bulldog was just an overbred Mastiff that started taking on dwarfism. And so whatever was going to win is what was going to be used. That's why if you look at the English version of the Staffordshire Bull Terrier, which was used to create the American Pit Bull Terrier, all of a sudden you get here. And why do so many American Pit Bull Terriers have somewhat of a pointer look and pointer colors? Because they were using anything that was dog aggressive to win fights or give them a tool to win fights. If it wasn't dog aggressive, it wasn't going to get used. But if it was dog aggressive and it had something that I could use, then it was going to be bred to my game dogs, because I can take that and I'll breed it back to my game dogs to get that hound out. And that's also why you hear a lot of dudes in the South, they call their dogs hounds. They're pit bulls, hounds. They have all kinds of names because everything was being used so that you could win. Eventually, around the early 1900s, the 40s, the winners were consistent in look, and they maintained a certain look where you no longer had to reach out. These dogs were able to take on dogs twice their size, animals twice their size, and be victorious in that. The black and tan was definitely came from the black and tan terrier, which is why it's in the pit bull. The black and tan and American bullies, though, did not come from the black and tan terrier or the black and tan pit bull. Some of them maybe, but the black and tan that you see in your bullies today, 7 times out of 10 came from the Rottweiler because of the breedings that took place during the early 90s, 80s, late 80s, early 90s. But the black and tan in American bullies today is so abundant, and it started off early, extremely abundant. It did not come from black and tan pit bulls. There just aren't enough of them to have produced what we'd have been looking for in the American bully. The Rottweiler was there for the taking, so there's no reason to say we bred to all these Mastiffs and American Bulldogs. Well, for some reason, just didn't breed to the Rottweiler. That's not true. And I can say I had a 145-pound Rottweiler, 150 pounds, and he was out of shape. 140 pounds when he was in shape, super in shape to get him to do what I need him to do. He couldn't get lower than 127 pounds. And I let him breed to a lot of pit bulls in the 90s. And a lot of people were doing that back then. And then you got the hanging papers issue. So guaranteed the black and the tricolor in the American bully came from the Rottweiler. Let's see here, whether they want to admit it or not. I don't get caught up with the old school dudes and their rhetoric. So whether they want to admit it or not, it just sometimes you just got to do the math. Let's see here. So when it comes to vision, again, vision is your ability to see what's in front of you, and it's your ability to see down the line. The vision, so vision when it comes to your breeding is being able to look at the dog in front of you without kennel blindness. It is also your ability to see down the line and plan your breedings. It is also for you to be able to look down the line 3 to 5 breedings down the line and be able to know when you need to switch up and when things didn't go right. One of the things when it comes to vision that I always say to people is it takes 5 to 7 generations to create a breed. It takes 5 to 7 generations to create a bloodline. So therefore, your vision should be 5 to generations ahead. And then it's cool if you have to deviate and change things. There's not a problem with that. But when my cousin and I got into the bullies, we studied the dogs for about a year on Facebook and just reading, watching YouTube videos, what dogs. Our main concern was what dogs were probably used. Hey, can you put him outside? So he's not hacking in here. When you study the dogs, Floyd, go outside. That's my old man. He's still just as goofy as I don't know what. He's almost 14 years old. But when it comes to vision, a lot of the issue, the thing that holds kennel blindness, helps vision is kennel blindness. You need to be able to see down the line. And you need to know when you need to change what your direction was. You also need to be able to look at the dog in front of you. That is vision. Breed type. A lot of people disagree with me on breed type. You can disagree all you want, but it's just a fact. Breed type is the overall look of the dog. Standard, the written standard is based off of breed type. Breed type is not based off of the written standard. Breed type is what happens when you come up with a purpose for your dog and you start creating that purpose. It is not as detailed as the written standard. My example that I always give to people is if a 10-foot tall Chihuahua comes running down the street and is killing my neighbors, I run into the house, I call the police, and I tell them there's a 10-foot tall Chihuahua coming down and is killing my neighbors. When the police get there, if they see a 10-foot tall Labrador, then they know there are now 2 dogs killing people. One is a 10-foot tall Chihuahua. The other is a 10-foot tall Labrador. Why do they know this? They know it because of breed type. Breed type is the overall look of the dog. If you have a stuffed animal, you know if it's a Rottweiler, you know if it's a Doberman, based off of breed type. Same colors, but you know based off of breed type that this stuffed animal is a Rottweiler, this stuffed animal is a Doberman. When it comes to the written standard is there for show ring purposes. And I'm going to expound on that in a little bit because I know some people disagree with that. But the written standard is there for show ring purposes. It is there for you to aim at for the show ring. What you will find, such as in the Bull Terrier, is the written standard does not work for the Bull Terrier, which started off as a working dog. The written standard and what you see winning shows does not work for the average working Labrador. The written standard and what it allows in the show ring for the average Rottweiler is cute when the dog is doing protection work, but when he has to actually do real-time work, the written standard doesn't assist him in that, especially when it comes to the structure that tends to win in the show ring based off of the written standard. A Rottweiler should be able to run 100 yards and hit that sleeve. The average show ring dog that wins in the show ring for Rottweilers can't run 100 yards and then hit that sleeve effectively. So the written standard and the breed type are two different things. Again, everybody knows a 10-foot tall Chihuahua. Everybody knows a small stuffed animal Chihuahua due to breed type. The written standard is for the show ring. Now, when it comes to new breeds, the written standard has to be respected, because it is a guideline. If you are going to, if you are going to deviate from the written standard, hold on real quick. Okay, so I hit that. Time privately send me a pic of your boxer mix. I'd like to see it. Oh, Dion, I will send you a picture of Floyd. He's on my page, but probably way down there. But I'll definitely send you a picture of Floyd. One of him as an old man, and one of him as a when he was young and in his prime. He was a phenomenal catch dog. Coyotes, hog, bobcat. He could handle it all by himself. You didn't need a gun. But when it comes to the written standard, that is the thing. When it comes to new breeds, you've got to respect it. If you are going to deviate from the written standard, and a lot of times when I talk, people come up with a counter, and their counter happens to be human based. When I talk dogs, I don't concern myself with humans and peoples and all that other stuff. The breed is for humans. Once you get into the breed, then it has to go back to the dogs. But when it comes to the written standard and it comes to new breeds, you have to respect that written standard, and you have to have a huge respect from it. The only time you should deviate from that written standard is when it comes to the species and an actual purpose in that dog. And sometimes, so if I decide I want to breed English bulldogs, that's fine. But if I want to breed them for catch work, then I am stupid and I picked the wrong dog. When it gets into the American Bully, its written standard allows a dog that should be able to do catch work. The problem with catch work is your dog may have to walk or run 5 to 10 miles before it gets there to take on its prey. And the average American Bully in the show ring can't do that, regardless of their temperament, regardless of their desire to do so. So you're always going to have to play that balance when it comes to the written standard. But if you're going to deviate from the written standard, you should have a purpose that is about the dogs, not about money or sales or demand by the public. Another question that was on there was, how do you know when you are kennel blind, and how do you prevent it? In the bully world, for whatever reasons, kennel blindness is you not being able to see the dog and its flaws in front of you. There's a lot of kennel blindness that allows people to post pictures of dogs that I would never post. Sometimes we're doing that because we're calling it a tool. And I want people to see my stud as a tool. Tool should still be a good looking representation of the breed. They just might have a few more flaws than the show dog or the performance dog. But they should still be a good, in the working world, sometimes the tool is size. I need a little more size for my border collie because I'm not dealing with goats anymore. I'm dealing with cattle. Or I mean, I need, and so therefore I might go to a larger border collie that wasn't as effective just to get that size. That's what a tool is. It should still be a good representation of the breed. When you start getting, people say, okay, I'm breeding to this sloppy dog, but I'm taking my clean bitch to that dog, or I'm taking my clean male to this sloppy female because I want size. That's a problem when we're 30 years deep into a brand new breed, because 9 times out of 10 that dog that you're breeding to is sloppy because it's got something else bred into it within the last 5 generations. And then at that point, is that even an American bully at that point? That more than likely it's a mutt that kind of looks like what we might call an American bully. And that's something that we all have to think about. I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with tools, but tools should reflect the look of the breed. And a lot of times we use the word tool to cover for just overall badly bred dogs. So when it comes to the written standard, it's a new breed. Stay as close to the written standard as possible. At the same time, if you have an actual purpose for the dog, there is nothing wrong with deviating from it. Just know that you probably won't win in the show ring, but your dog should still be recognizable as an American bully, especially if that's what you're going to be calling it. But lineage is also another thing that makes breed. So people aren't going to be able to knock you for deviating from the written standard a little bit. As far as kennel blindness, again, it is you being able to see what's in front of you. There are several forms of kennel blindness. One is your emotions are involved with your dog. You love your dog, so you are unable to see that it has a high rear. You're unable to see that it has lack of angulation. Angulation is a species issue, not just a breed issue. You're unable to see that it has, the pasterns aren't there. You're unable to see that this dog is not the best. You're unable to admit that the dog is not perfect. No dog is perfect. So to get rid of kennel blindness, find the flaws on your dog. If you can't find those flaws, at least 2 to 3 of them, then you're kennel blind. It is what it is. If you can't find at least 2, let's say 1 flaw plus 2 things you need to work on, then you are kennel blind. And what you have to work on should not have to do with people's preferences. It should have to do with the written standard, and you just have to admit you're kennel blind. So kennel blindness is not being able to see the flaws in your yard. Another form of kennel blindness, which the American bully community doesn't admit, and it's the majority of the kennel of the American bully community, is not being able to see dogs in other people's yards for what they are. People get hyped up off of this guy and his marketing and these dogs, and then they fall in love with them, and they are unable to see flaws in those yards because they are kennel blind. Another third version of kennel blindness is people who dislike other people in the American bully community, and they are unable to see dogs that are well put together dogs, but all of a sudden they see a toenail is a little long, or it's got a gay tail, or it has a little bit of lack of angulation. So therefore they are unable to see the other values that that dog has because they don't like this person, or they don't like that dog's color. That is a third form of kennel blindness. A fourth form of kennel blindness is people, which again is huge in the American bully community, people who see a dog, they talk shit about that dog, not understanding what that dog can be used for to create better dogs within the breed. So I don't like that dog has too many wrinkles. What they don't understand, though, is that breeder ain't selling you that dog. He's keeping that dog used for his yard. What you're not paying attention to is in his kennel, he's got nothing but clean females that he's breeding that dog to. So now what? That is a fourth form of kennel blindness. The American bully, when it comes to kennel blindness, I would say 90% of this community is kennel blind. Unfortunately, they are willing to intentionally breed flaws to flaws. They will hate on this person because they don't like them, but not see that their dogs are an asset, or they will love this person because they do like them and don't see the lack of value in the dogs that that person is breeding. And then again, they will dislike a person, or a person's new, so they just feel they're in the mood to troll or talk shit, and they talk trash about that person, when person's dogs, when their first question should be, what do you plan on doing with that dog? And for all you know, they've got this one male that you don't like, but they've got 10 clean females that are the opposite of that male that they plan on taking that male to. And they might have just been using that male for his head. They might have just been using him for his size. So those are the forms of kennel blindness within the community and I would say, due to the internet, due to, people liking attention, and looking to get it by any means necessary, or hate on other people by any means necessary, the majority of the community is kennel blind. What do you do to prevent kennel blindness? The first thing that you need to do is study the breed. The second thing you need to do is admit whether you are experienced when it comes to dogs, and looking at flaws and looking at issues. Again, flaws being within the breed, issues being within the species. And if you're not experienced in it, and you're brand new, then you need to find a mentor. Those are the only two things that can cure kennel blindness: the honesty of a mentor, and the honesty within yourself of reading the breed standard and then applying it to the dogs that are in front of you, not just yours, but other dogs. Let me hit some of these comments. Let's see here. Let me go back. Hold on. I'm getting ready to breed a Patterdale to a Jojola Monster Straw. Gary, let me know if you do that. I finally convinced, now that my Jack Russell is passed, my wife wanted another dog just like her. I had to admit to her, hey, Rex, what's up, man? Thanks for joining in. I had to let her know that we're not guaranteed her same drive with another Jack Russell. The closest way for us to get the same thing that she was to go to a Patterdale. But if you take a Patterdale to a Jojola, let me know, bruh. Let me let me know. I know you probably joking, but if you decide it's not a joke, let me know. Andrea said, yes, it absolutely did come from the damn Tam Point in the breeds used. It didn't come from the damn Rottweiler. Andrea, I got a lot of love for her, but she is religious when it comes to bully rhetoric. She has lot of knowledge when it comes to the dog, when it comes to dogs in general. I know she's done big things in the show. She's also a show judge, if I'm not mistaken. So I give her props when it comes to that. The issue, Andrea, that you and I are always going to have is I don't care about the past rhetoric of the breed. I am 48 years old. I've been doing these dogs for almost 30 years. Involved with it for close to 40 years. Yes, that means since I was about 8. It's just something that's deep in my family. So I'm able to see when rhetoric and dogs don't make sense. I'm also here from California. So in the 90s, when I was in my prime and I was macho and running the streets, I was heavy into these dogs. And I watched what took place here in California with these dogs. I also traveled, we're not going to get into that, but with my dogs to other states, and saw what was going down in other states with these dogs, especially in the DMV. That's DC, Baltimore, DC, Maryland, and Virginia. I was heavy out there in that period, not only with dogs, but with my homies doing what me and my homies were doing back in the day. So when it comes to dogs, I got to see a lot from the East Coast, New York, Baltimore, Maryland, Virginia, DC, LA, where I'm from, Cali, from northern to southern California. The Rottweiler was heavy brought into a dog, to a lot of the dogs that papers were hung on. And to say that these few game dogs that were black and tan pit bulls, first off, a lot of people who were breeding game dogs back then would not have allowed you to breed to their dogs. That's just how it is. So to say that the black and tan pit bull is what created the tri dog of American Bully, that's very naive when you know for a fact that a lot of these dudes were breeding to anything and a lot of these dudes were hanging papers. Andrea said, let's see, Rex said, and those were nice dogs too. They were nice dogs. A lot of those dogs being bred were good looking dogs. A lot of them went into the band dogs that we see, that we saw back then. And then a lot of them kind of went the bully route. Here in California, that mix was going two different directions. One was badass, aggressive band dogs. The other was dogs that were bred for size and looks. Those size and look dogs, and even some of those dogs, to the bully community. So it is what it is. And due to the fact that we know they were cool with hanging papers, we all have to admit that there are going to be things that we just have to do the math on. Let's see. Andrea said Rot to Pit were popular in the 90s. It produced large, usually brindle dogs called Rockwoods. They just produced mutts. Rot Pit mix. A lot of them had dope bills that would have been great for the American Bully. These dogs were never a part of American Bully Foundation, period. That's crazy to say when you know they were hanging papers. It's crazy to say. You can't use the word period at the end of your sentence when it comes to American bullies. They were hanging papers. So to say, and I get it, you know, I got a lot of respect for you, Andrea, when it comes to the breed, but that doesn't add up. You just got to do the math. And if it means you got to point your finger at one of your role models in the bully community and tell them they're lying, just do the math. 2 plus 2 is going to be 4. No matter what they say, it's not going to be 4.5. It's not going to be 5. And that's why I don't call none of these cats old school, except for my man Gary Moore. When it comes to OGs, I don't call nobody. One, I'm too old to be calling somebody OG. I just had to check a dude the other day talking about he saw one of my big homies. I don't have no damn big homies. He just happens to be older and bigger than me. But when it comes to this whole OGs are sometimes wrong, and OGs sometimes lie. Sometimes they lie for the benefit of the whatever the overall thing is. Sometimes they lie for the benefit of just themselves. Andrea said breed type is achieved when a developing breed achieves consistency in the look of the dogs. Agreed. The standard is written to exemplify the breed type the dog should carry. I agree for the show ring, and I agree for new breeds, 100%. Robert McCormick said, fuck your show, dog. Gary Moore said, preach, Daryl, preach. Thank you, brother. Much respect to you. And let's see, Gary says sometimes they post all bred dogs due to ignorance. They don't know flaws. Exactly. And people have to remember some of these flaws, they aren't just flaws within the breed. That's actually a species flaw. And those should be gone from your yard so that you can just focus on the flaws within the breed. Andrew said once you cross with another breed, you can't just call it an American Bully. It's a mutt now, period. There's no option to mix. I agree. Once you cross to another breed, it is no longer an American Bully. But then you also got to question yourself on the Merle, because the Merle did not come from no English Bulldogs back in the day. It came from, especially when you're looking at your standard size dogs and your XLs, it came from the Merle Alapaha or the Merle Catahoula. Now, I will say once you get that dog and you bred out and you breed back in, so for instance, Floyd would be a perfect example. Floyd is 3/4 old family red nose, 1/4 boxer. Because of how gamey those dogs turned out, that boxer was an extremely dog and man aggressive boxer, and his lines were. So because of how that turned out, the dude, though he was pissed at his sister for what took place, he bred the son of that back to the mom, which is what created the litter that Floyd came from. His intent was to keep that going back into old family red nose and then eventually see what was happening. If you get 5 generations deep, you are back to your breed. So if I take a American Bully and I breed it to a German Shepherd because I want longer legs, And then next thing you know, I breed it back to nothing but American Bullies, and that German Shepherd is now over 5 to 7 generations in the past. I am back to being an American Bully. We know that due to the fact that's what the Dalmatians had to do when they started breeding up into a brick wall. They needed to bring outside dogs in there. The Cane Corso had to do the same. Matter of fact, the Cane Corso brought the Boxer in. I don't know why they chose the Boxer, but they brought the Boxer in and then bred it back to the Cane Corso lines to be back into what we would call a Cane Corso. The English Bulldog, there's debate going on now because they're so unhealthy in general, is to start breeding them to the oldie Bulldog, so that, and then back to the English Bulldogs to get a healthier specimen of the dog. So you can bring a dog. The AKC has done it and allowed it. The UKC has done it and allowed it. Bring a dog into your fold, but that dog should not leave. Those offspring should not be leaving your yard until, or sold or anything like that, until whatever you brought in is now 5 to 7 generations in the past, and you are back to the breed type of the dog, and headed, if you're going for the show ring, headed to the written standard of the dog. So that is something that has to be considered when it comes to bringing dogs in. So there are known breeds that have brought other dogs in within the last 100 years just to continue and keep that breed going in a more healthy manner. Andrew said, I'm religious when it comes to facts. Those are Trump's facts, though. You know what I mean? What did Trump say about facts? I forget what he called them. You just got to do the math, Andrea. And then we're going to move on. But just think about it this way. You are dealing with a breed where I don't care who you like, who you love, they were paper hanging, or they are closely affiliated with somebody that was paper hanging. So to say we have all these massive dogs, but they all came from the little bitty black and tan pit bull, which there's only a few of. But all those same people said, I'm not going to breed to a Rottweiler, but I'll breed to a band dog. I'll breed to a Cane Corso. I'll breed to a Presa. I'll breed to an American Bulldog. None of them dudes back then would have made that decision. They wanted big heads. They wanted color. They didn't care where it came from. They hung the papers on pit bulls to get to where we are today. So to say that for some reason they didn't use the Rottweiler, but I'm looking at all these dogs, doesn't add up. You got to do the math at some point. Me personally, I bred Rottweilers. I own Rottweilers. Guess what? My Rottweiler Malcolm was a legend at Venice Beach in the 90s, from Ice-T offers to Ice Cube, or the ISIS offers, various rappers that were unknown back then, but I still bump today, celebrities, basketball players from the 90s. Malcolm was a legend. And he showcased at Venice Beach. He was also popular because I took him to clubs. He would sleep in my car while I was in partying. I was young and dumb back then, but he was a great dog. He was a legend back then. Malcolm was bred to various pit bulls. There's a lot of Rottweiler breeders I know that allowed their dogs to breed to various pit bulls. So to say with all these people doing that somehow the Rottweiler and the Rottweiler mixes weren't using the American Bully, that's crazy, especially because you had two lines that started this. You had Razor's Edge, which let's go ahead and say was a little closer to what you're talking about. And then you had Gotti line, and a lot of them dudes was breeding to anything. And then the two came together, which is the American Bully that we have today. So that's definitely not based on facts. You just got to remove emotion from it. And if you have to remove respect for individuals to remove emotion, then you got to remove that respect so that you can include the facts and then get back to the emotions and the respect that you have for them. I'm not an OG. I am OJ. Only just Gary. I feel you, brother. I got a lot of love for Gary and what he's done in the community. Check him out at what is it? Docs Oils. Like I said earlier, check out that website. He's got a lot there for your dog, especially you guys, like we discussed earlier, when you got allergy issues and various things like that going on with your dogs. He's got things for your coat, your dog's immune system. So check him out at docsoils.com. Gary, I hope I'm saying the website right. Forgive me if I'm not. Dion said, I'm thinking to diversify the kennel ops for my work dogs, but my son and I are still debating. You know what? Me and my cousin debate all the time, and that keeps you true to what it is you're trying to do. Andrea said they chose the Boxer because the Corso came off the same ancestry as the German Boxer. There was a similar ancestry, but there are other dogs that the Cane Corso could have used that had a closer ancestry in Italy. For whatever reasons, like I said, they chose the Boxer. I think just the formation of the Boxer gave them a healthier dog to go to. Andrea said there are a lot of 10-point bulldogs, American, oldie, and English. So my thing to you, Andrea, would be if they use all those dogs, why would they not use the Rottweiler? Why would you use an English bulldog and not a Rottweiler? Why would you use the American bulldog? If you're talking about the American bulldog, they don't have no 10 points, unless that's something new. But back then they wouldn't have had it. And if they did in California, you wouldn't have been able to find it. So again, why would you use all those dogs, but then say, but I'm not going to use the Rottweiler, which is everywhere I turn and everywhere I look. Jasmine said, I've seen Embark results where tri dogs have small percentages of Rots and Doberman. Thank you. I'm just saying, I've seen a pup. He's 70% American Bully mix pup that looked just like a Rot. DNA and genetics don't lie. There you go. Andrea said, because they used the Bulldogs. Look at them. You're not getting something. When you breathe Robert's about to get on me in just a sec. I feel it, and I know if my cousin is on here, he's about to get on me. But I'm gonna go ahead and entertain you, Andrea. Do the math. Why the two most popular dogs back then in this environment were the Pit Bull and the Rottweiler? And something in you says for some reason they just ignored the existence of the Rottweiler and didn't use it. But for some reason we have all these 10-point dogs. You know, you got Jasmine, who's just saying Embark is giving tests to American Bullies that came back with Rottweilers and Dobermans. I was giving them the benefit of the doubt and leaving Dobermans out. But you just got to do the math. You know what I'm saying? Dion said, I just don't know what to do with pups if they are mixed. If they are mixed, do not consider them American Bullies. Be proud of the fact that they are mixed and use them for whatever it is you are planning on using them for. But as far as preventing kennel blindness, you guys find a mentor. If you can't see, I know a couple people that will be 100% honest with you. I will. I can speak to you as far as species issues, as far as small flaws and details. Somebody who's better than that, Andrea would be a good one. Fred Duran will be a great one. Danny's another one. Heather from Oily Jaw Bullies. Find a mentor. Dogs are dogs. Don't get caught up with a breeding mentor. Find a mentor for your purpose in breeding. So don't get caught up with somebody who's got a lot of recognition or respect in the community. You want to go to the show ring, but they don't have no show winners. That's not the mentor you need to go to. You go to a person who has show winners in their field. And if they don't want to deal with you, find somebody new. I can tell you right now, like I said, Fred Duran and Danny go live in the group on a weekly basis. Fred Duran on Mondays, Danny on Wednesdays. Hit those brothers up during their lives. Ask them questions. They will freely answer those questions. But find yourself a mentor and study and now there's no excuses. ABKC came out with an illustration now. I reposted it in the group today. Study that illustration so that you get an idea of exactly what the register. Hold on, we're having trouble streaming to Facebook. This may be an issue on Facebook's end. I don't know what that's about, but everything seems to be going cool, so I'm going to ignore that. Would you say a Boxer and OFRN make a good mix? Casper, it made a good mix for me, but again, the dog was inbred. So It went to Boxer, who was an aggressive boxer. The dogs that were produced from that were bred back to the one dog that was produced from that was bred back to the mom. That's how I got Floyd. He is 3/4 old family red nose, 1/4 boxer, but he is an inbred dog. I couldn't ask for a better dog in anything that I've looked to do when it came to working. And he was just a 65 to 70 pound beast. And like I said, I couldn't have asked for a better dog. He has zero dominance drive. He lets my other dogs that he's cool with get a eat out of his food bowl. He just steps back and looks at them funny, or he goes to their bowl. He has zero rank drive. My Jack Russell was the one that was the one that ran our yard. He pissed on all four legs till he was about probably 4 or 5 years old. He was not into marking territory. But he was extremely animal and dog aggressive. And even to this day, he slowed down a little bit. Like now, it took him when he was about 10 years old was when the hair on his back first started rising when he was agitated. Before then, there was no signs, no displays that he was angry. He didn't bark, he didn't growl, he just scratched to get to whatever he was trying to get to. I couldn't ask for a better dog. I couldn't ask for a better breeding. His pups went various different directions. Some went for catch work, some went for protection, some were just family pets. And he was able to produce all three based off what I was able to breed him to. Just everybody that got a dog off of me knew chances are they're going to be dog aggressive. And I would say out of his litters, probably about 4 came out like him and his mom. Floyd at 5 weeks old started attacking his litter mates to the point where he had to be separated. By the time he hit 6 weeks old, he started attacking his mom. When I brought him home, my Jack Russell whipped him into shape because she's just as crazy as he is. And then from there, he was just the perfect dog. But as he got older and more sunk into his genetics, like I said, everybody that got a dog off of me from a Floyd breeding was very aware that this is not going to be your pet smart type dog. And they're going to be highly animal aggressive, and you're not going to show it. To this day, Floyd will only bark at a dog if there's a fence in front of him. If he's on leash, he's not going to bark. He doesn't do displays of dominance. You know, you have a dog, you know how dogs try to stand higher than each other, they sniff, and then all of a sudden the fight breaks out. Floyd fights, the battle starts when contact is made. And it's at full speed, whatever speed he is when he gets there, whether it's a hog, a coyote, a bobcat, whatever it is, the speed he's at when he gets there, that's the speed it all takes place at. Full speed, 100% to the pedal to the metal. Floyd is a dog, though, that I would never advise for any people that are not used to dogs. Great with my family. Protection, he mixed with another dog creates some of the most outstanding protection dogs you could come across. Himself, though, he's not protective because he's not territorial. But you can't mess with me or my kids. So if you approach aggressively, if you're a little too loud, you've been drinking a little too much, Floyd would decide he don't like you, and he had to be watched because he'd hit you. Now, if you come in my yard, a female, somebody that's not displaying dominance, anything like that, then he's perfectly fine. So when it came to Floyd, again, he is not a bully. I would never breed him to bullies because he would destroy the whole temperament of the bully breed. But he's extremely strong genetics due to his inbreeding. But he was a great catch dog, great working dog, extremely driven. And whatever his purpose was, that was all he saw at the time. Let's see. Dion said, which can be both good and bad. I want something with more endurance, running, stamina than a bully, but want a bully. Then you know what? Erica Ross with, I want to say it's RBR Kennels. I might have that wrong. She does hog work with her dogs. She would be great to check out. Great looking dogs, and they're able to get the job done. So check out Erica Ross. She is a friend on my friends list. And I want to say again that it's RBR Kennels, but Hitman is one of my favorite bullies in the game. I know show breeders may not agree with that, but I love him. Then Yaga had to be separated. We even rehomed her because she was too aggressive with Rocky. Sometimes it has to be done. Floyd was very submissive to my bull lurcher, and after that first 2 weeks to my Jack Russell. But I brought him into our home when he was 6 weeks old because the dude told me he wasn't going to keep him any longer because of his aggression. So Ashley Hernan said, yes, it's RBR. Thank you, Ashley. So check out RBR Kennels with Erica Ross. But yeah, Floyd I brought in at 6 weeks old because they wouldn't keep him any longer. And you have to watch it. When it came to my Jack Russell, my bull lurcher, he was cool. My Razor's Edge dog, again, he was cool. But Floyd couldn't be bred till he was about 5 years old because it didn't matter if the female was in heat. He was going to try to fight. So with those three dogs, he was cool with. Any dogs, due to the fact he didn't have a dominance or rank drive, it was almost non-existent. But he was extremely gamey, very animal aggressive. And it didn't matter what the animal was, how big it was, how many of them it was, it didn't matter. But so anybody that Floyd's pups were sold to, it came with a long lecture on those dogs. Let me see if so again, preventing kennel blindness within your kennel. Remember, one, find a mentor so that you can be honest with yourself and make sure that you are being honest with yourself. Read the bully standard, look at the pictures and look at your dogs, and do those pictures resemble your dogs? One unfortunate part of the bully is a lot of the champions don't favor each other and even still have flaws. So use those pictures, that illustration from the ABKC, to govern how you are breeding. And then just remember that UKC is looking for the same thing, just a little less mass. So remember that. That's for your yard. When it comes to kennel blindness within the community, you've got three other types of kennel blindness: those who love everything they see by the people they love, those who hate everything they see by the people they hate, and those who are just running their mouths talking about people's yards and people's dogs without knowing what it is those people plan on breeding that dog to next. That is another form of kennel blindness. So kennel blindness can take place within your kennel. Kennel blindness can take place when it comes to your vision of other people's kennels, because you either don't have the facts or you aren't willing to admit them. Other than that, we're going to go ahead and bring this to an end. See if I have any comments showing up that I did not hit. I'll find on IG. We cannot have animal aggressive in this breed. We have spent 30 years breeding it out. I agree, but that's why I wouldn't bring Floyd into the bully community. Now, would he have something to offer the bully community, but outside of his animal aggression? Hell yeah. But I wouldn't breed him into the bully. Plus, Floyd's 13. He's not going to be breeding to anything anyway. But so just in case Andrea is thinking I might breed Floyd into the bully community, no. Now, 10 years ago, I might have done it, but I wouldn't have called it an American bully. I would have just used the mass. And I know Floyd, with these scatterbred dogs within this breed, because that's what 90% of them are, he would have been able to push his temperament through the American bully, but still obtain the American bully size, or at least close to it. But no, I would never breed Floyd to an American bully, because then at that point it would no longer be an American bully. It would be half American bully, half Floyd. Let's see here. What else do we have? And also, when it comes to the American bully and animal aggressive, a lot of times that depends on what the dog is an animal aggressive to. I used to have a dog, Kayla. She was a bull lurcher, and she had lab in her also. She was extremely wild animal aggressive, but she was cool with dogs. But when it came to cats and wild animals, they didn't stand a chance. We had a hamster that got loose and got in our yard, and my daughter's hamster, Kayla, caught it, brought it back to the yard. But the very next day, she was killing gophers, skunks, raccoons. So a lot of aggression also has to do with a dog's cognitive ability and their understanding of time and place for things. So you can have a dog that will catch hogs, but at the same time won't do anything, to cattle or goats. King, for instance, will run off any wild animal from his area, from his territory, but King is fine around goats, cows, horses. There's no issues. But King's not letting a wild animal into his vicinity. So, a lot of animal aggression, you need to have an understanding of the drives that are making it, so that if you want a American Bully that can catch hogs, you can breed that, but still at the same time go into the show ring without having any issue. Because animal aggressive, that's like temperament. It's just an extremely broad term. What are the drives that are making up that specific animal aggression? What are the drives that are making up that specific temperament? And the more you learn about drives that make up a dog, which is why I try to speak on drives a lot, the more you can learn what you can and don't want to breed for. The American Bully, you can pretty much accomplish an animal aggressive dog as long as you breed out dominance or breed down dominance and rank drive. You can still have a dog that's able to perform. He just won't be aggressive towards other dogs. Let's see here. I think that's the last of the comments. Yeah, so we're going to sign out. If you do have further questions, comments, I forgot to check YouTube for their questions. So for people on YouTube, I'm sorry. I will make sure within the next 12 hours that I check out the YouTube questions and make sure that I answer those. So I'm going to log off. Again, everybody join the Giant XL American Bully Breed Group. We are live daily, Mondays, with Fred Duran of Primo Line Bullies, owner of Grand Champion Saki Bomb. Rest in peace to Saki Bomb. And much love and respect to Fred and his family. I know that was a loss. Also, he is the owner of another Grand Champion, and I think he's the only one to do that. XL Grand Champion Dooley, one of my favorite dogs. Then Tuesday, we do what we're doing today, which is the Dog Talk Tuesday Lives, where I make a post in the morning. You get to post whatever questions you may have. Wednesdays is Danny from Second and None Bullies. He will go live to discuss whatever topics. Again, those are two dudes, Fred and Danny, that are perfect to go to with your show questions. Thursdays, we do the XL Bully Showcase, where you jump into the Giant XL American Bully Breed Group. You post your dog on the showcase post, and we go over that. And if you've got any upcoming breedings, litters, studs, females, whatever it is you're doing, you got a dog puppy transportation business, whatever it is you're doing, you make banners, we highlight you and your company. But read I call them flyers, read the banner for the XL Bully Showcase, and it's going to give you kind of an idea of the descriptions that you want to give for what it is you're doing. So that way we spend more time on discussing your dog. That is Thursdays. Then Friday, we have a series we're doing right now, a marketing and promotion series that I'm doing with Robert McCormick and Andre Smith from BGK Bullies, or BGK. Both those brothers are extremely knowledgeable about just marketing and promotion. So we did the first part. I think this Friday we're on part 4. The first part was taking pictures and photos. You can go to our YouTube page, Thor Bullies on YouTube, and each of those parts are on there. The first part was taking pictures and photos, how to go about it, the mindset to have when you're going about it, what type cameras to use, what settings to use on your cell phone, etc. The second was on Facebook, how to operate, you run ads and maneuver through Facebook. The third part of the series, which was last Friday, we discussed Instagram. They discussed a lot that was over my head. The cool thing about watching that, a lot of people have said when I'm talking dogs, I'm talking over people's heads. So I'm trying to stop doing that by engaging in the questions that are going on. But what I love about doing the marketing promotion series with Robert McCormick and Andre Smith, is that it's all over my head. I don't know anything about promotions, growing platforms, things like that. We got lucky with Giant XL American Bully Breed Group just because we were strictly just pushing the truth, but there wasn't a strategy to get it to the number of people that we have gotten to. And so shout out to those brothers. So this Friday, so last time we did Instagram, this coming Friday, we will be discussing YouTube and how to grow your YouTube page and the benefits of having a YouTube page. Other than that, I'm out. Thank you guys for joining.